Hey astronauts, this is Brandi and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. If it's your first time here, hi, welcome. My name is Brandi. As I've said, I am a tarot reader and astrology researcher. I've been doing it for 15 years and I'm here to provide you real world insights so you can empower yourself through tarot and astrology. Now, I do want to make the disclaimer that number one, tarot and astrology is for entertainment purposes only. You have control of your life. You have free will. Number two, if you're in a sensitive place in your life, or if you're looking for validation, or maybe just to pick me up to feel good, this is probably not the place for you. I like to give interpretations based off of my many years of experience reading cards, and it's not always rainbows and sunshine, guys. So, now that I have made that disclaimer, I do want to welcome you to this reading. This reading is what is coming soon in love. We want to get into what is unfolding for you as quickly as possible. I know a lot of us can't wait around for love. We want to know what's going to be happening here and now. We have 5 piles to choose from, but before we get started, knocking things over. But before we get started, I do want to remind you to like, comment, and to subscribe. And don't forget that I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes I pop up during the week as well, so you have to hit the notification bell. If you want to just straight up ask me a question, maybe you have something on your mind, you're curious, you feeling a little stressed, whatever the case, you just pop by one of the live sessions and we can answer your question. Also, during the live sessions, I like to go through the astrology transits and how it affects you and your horoscope. So be on the lookout for that. And we like to do the weekly collective where we look ahead and get the forecast for what is going to be happening in our lives. It just helps us to understand the energies that are currently surrounding us. Also, if you want a private reading, link can be found in the description bar below. Now, let us jump into these piles. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey, pile number 1, let's get into what's coming soon in love. We have the 10 of Pentacles. We have the Star card combined with, I believe, Temperance here. We have the Strength card. And we have the 6 of Wands. And I want to get into your Nexetra card here, which is Chitra. The Diamond, or the Brilliant one, you want to call. So, when we think about what's coming soon for you in love, I'm going to be honest. Maybe nothing's coming soon in love. And don't beat me up, okay? Hold it with me. Hold it there. So let's pause. When we talk about what's coming soon in love, we get the first card we pull is the 10 of Pentacles. The 10 of Pentacles is all about building something lasting, building something sustainable and secure that has a strong foundation, that is representative of commitment, community, family. And so what the cards are saying is that based on your current actions, you are moving in this direction. You're moving in a direction that is going to lead to security, that is going to lead to a place of happiness and stability and peace and a sense of comfort. And to me, it's showing that you're going in the direction, and I don't know if you're single, I don't know if you're in a relationship, where you are potentially building a family, whether that's just going to finding a lifelong partner, whether that's getting married, whether that's, having kids and being unmarried. I don't know. People have their own definitions of families. But to me, you're moving in the direction of something committed. And something committed takes time to build. So don't worry. This is good, actually. It shows that your behavior, your way of thinking is going to lead you to this beautiful place where things are healthy, stable, wealthy, blessed, prosperous. Love the feeling of the 10 of Pentacles. Remember the last time I got the 10 of Pentacles to represent a hot air balloon ride I was going on. Very safe, very secure. I felt very calm and very at ease, right? And so that is what you're building in your love life. Someone who is going to be provide you with those feelings, and you're going to provide them with those feelings, and maybe you guys start a whole family together, or maybe it's just the two of you, whatever the case may be. But that's for sure coming for you when it comes to love. No questions, no doubts about it. We wouldn't have got it otherwise. The next thing we want to get into is the Shuffle Tarot card with the Star and Temperance. And once again, it's emphasizing this feeling of peace. This feeling of peace that is coming your way. This feeling of balance, of finding the right blend. Someone to match you. Someone whose life you can mesh with. Because you might really like someone, but it might be very difficult to mesh your lives together. Mush them. You know, whatever I'm trying to say. It's hard to blend those lives together sometimes. But the direction you're going in, you're going to find someone who actually fits you quite well. They are almost like your safe space. I wouldn't say, I mean, maybe not almost. Maybe they are your safe space. But either way, it's showing a place of comfort. Some place where, I don't know, you feel at ease with someone. You feel a sense of relief. You feel like you can relax and let go. You know, on this card, we have the Star card person, and I really do think they're combined with Temperance here because they have similar vibes. And I really do think that this is the first time you see the Star card not only adding something to the water or giving something to someone else, but now she's giving something to herself. She's nurturing herself here. Something about this lets me know that you're going to find this relationship where it's not this place where you're giving and maybe you get something back, or, you know, maybe not, and you're making all these sacrifices. No, this is showing that you get something, they get something, but ultimately you are being nurtured and taken care of within this relationship. So I want you to know that. This is a sense of stability. This is finding someone who is more than happy to accommodate you. And to me, I feel like you're finally going to be in a relationship where you're really being taken care of. And because water connects to emotions and it connects to our feelings and all of the things that make us human, this is someone who's bound to have a lot of emotional intelligence here because she's bathing herself in the water, which means she's being fully immersed in this emotional whirlwind of experiences, ripples and all, ups and downs. It means your emotional needs are taken care of when she's basically bathing herself through this water. It also shows that there is a intuitive aspect to this relationship where a lot of the understanding can come without spoken words. Not saying that you don't have any communication, but the cards are not emphasizing swords. And swords are a little bit more direct. Like, I'm having a conversation, I'm talking to you now. The Star and Temperance, well, Temperance can be a little bit more direct, but the Star is more so, you know, read my body language, read between the lines, right? And so something about this relationship shows that there's an intuitive understanding between you two. So that is something that I want you to know. It doesn't drain your reserves. This is a relationship that is fulfilling, that has peace. And I really do like to see this Chitra card here. Because one thing that I notice about Chitra is about, and a lot of Mars ruled nakshatras have this, preserving memories and not wanting to lose these precious moments with the people you love. So I was watching this interview with Kim Kardashian, and I believe she has a Chitra placement. And she was talking about how she has every single photo of all of her family and all of these moments. And I think she has them categorized in on every phone and organized. So all of these moments throughout her life, all of these memories. So you can see the level of detail that goes into Chitra and wanting to preserve memories of those that they love. So why am I mentioning this? Because to me, it tells me that you're making a lot of precious and beautiful memories together. And I really do think that there's something about this feeling where it just feels a little bit more, maybe I'm being corny, destined, or it feels like this is something precious I have to hold on to. You know, that's why we've got this diamond here. This is something that is a different experience than I have ever felt before. Why am I getting emotional, guys? Like, I'm like over here like about to cry. What's going on? This is not my reading. This is not my reading. Okay. But it's something different. Like, this is something that's very precious and you want to preserve it. And so that's something that this relationship, that's what's coming for you. So don't be alarmed if this is not soon. It doesn't matter. It's highly valuable and it's very important. I also like that there's an emphasis on, and this is just a small thing. It's a small thing of like being recognized, being complimented, being seen within your relationship. That's not the small thing I was talking about. The small thing I was talking about, the fashion. The stuff I just listed is a big thing. But the small thing I wanted to go into, I don't know why that came out, but that's, I guess that was important, was that Chitra and the Six of Wands energy, and we have Strength card, which connects to Leo, and we have the Star card, which is another thing connecting to glamour and being seen. And we all know Leos like to be seen. And we all know the Six of Wands about being seen. And we all know Chitra, well, we may not all know this, but Chitra can be very provocative and very into fashion and very like, this is my image. Very refined, you know, pays attention to their image a lot. So the small thing I want to mention is maybe you guys are like, I don't know, the all-star couple. Like, you look like the model couple. You guys look good together is what I want to say. Either that or like you may have a glow up within the relationship or they may have a glow up. I don't know. You guys are good for each other when it comes to the looks. But either way, I feel like you're serving looks together. I don't know why the cards want to mention that, why that's important. But that is something I noticed with all of that glamour, regalness. You got the money for it. You got the support. It's like, yeah, we look good. We look good together. You know, this is such an amazing pal. I really just feel like what's coming to you next is someone who has a lot of patience, someone who has a lot of care, someone who's been through a lot, someone who has a level of maturity, someone who doesn't make impulsive choices that just, you look at that and just like, that was dumb. Why did you do that? They don't really do that often, you know, that they're pretty thoughtful. They're really strategic. They like to think things through. You can even see on the card, it says architecture, creation. And if you've ever seen an architect work, you know how much detail and planning has to go in place before something unfolds and something is created and brought to life. There's a lot of dots that need to be connected. And so I want to say for this person, number one, they have an incredible work ethic. Number two, they have an amazing eye for things. Number three, they're very strategic. And one thing that you'll see, I think Claire Lochte did a study on this, that the Mars ruled nakshatras, particularly Mars and Mercury influence, tend to do very well when it comes to genius, when it comes to being extremely intelligent. A lot of the Mars rule placements are very intelligent, but they will kind of act dumb, but whatever. So I will say that you see a lot of intelligence within your partner, and I really do feel like they're probably highly educated, just given the circumstances here with these cards. I was doing my Black Beauty study, and in my Black Beauty study, Black Male Beauty study, I haven't released it, but Chitra actually came up really high scoring for men and attractiveness. So do with that information what you will. You know, there's a good chance if you are interested in dating, particularly black men, then, you know, he's going to be fine. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, he's going to catch the eyes, you know, I'm just saying, throwing it out there. I just want to mention one more thing. When it comes to the Six of Wands, you feel like you've gotten something that you've wanted. So it is delayed gratification, which the cards are talking about with the Strength card and the Six of Wands. It's like, oh, okay, we delayed something. We got to wait for something. But when you get it, which you will get it for sure, it's going to be amazing, guys. And this is not me hyping up. Go ahead and watch all my other videos. Like, I'm not afraid to be the bearer of bad news, you know. So this is actually incredible. This is amazing reading. You have a lot of good things coming for you. It may not be as soon as you would like, but the way you're moving, the direction that you're going in is going to bring about something that is incredibly beautiful and profound. Also, like I said, you guys are creating very beautiful memories together. You may start, I don't know. I like to vlog. So if you're like me, I'm just giving an example, then you would probably like start vlogging with this person. Or, you know, maybe you just start vlogging in general. Maybe they vlog. Maybe they take a lot of photos. Maybe, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to capture memories now. Maybe they journal, whatever. I mean, Chitra's more photos and videos, but, you know, journaling's possible. But I just want to throw that out there, this feeling of collecting memories, this feeling of family, this feeling of belonging somewhere, this feeling of like founding someone who you appreciate, who's got your back, who feels like, wow, this is pretty much exactly what I was aiming for. And they feel the same way about you. So that is all I have for you, pile number one. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And if you don't like the reading, then, you know, feel free to choose new reader or new pile. Either way, I'm very happy to stop by. Don't forget, private readings are available. I go live and all of that jazz. Yada, yada, yada. I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number two. Let's get started on what's coming soon for you in love. We have the Six of Cups, the Two of Wands, and the Two of Cups. The Ace of Pentacles, the Seven of Wands, and our next Nextecture card, Jesta. Oh, Jesta here. So when I look at these cards and I look to see what is unfolding and what's coming soon for you in terms of love, is that you have a lot of love and support from your friends and family. And I'm not going to lie, with Jesta here, the dating scene can be a bit, what's the word? Kill or be killed. You know, I mean, just the energy is very much this energy where they're known for having to date a few people or go on many different outings and meeting those and making connections before they find that right person. So I really do feel like when I say what's coming soon for you in love is that you're going through the, what's the word? The motions when it comes to dating and connecting with people. And if you're already in a relationship, then I will say, given that we have this Two of Wands and Two of Cups combination, I generally see that for something coming to a head or people having a difference between each other. It's actually kind of like a Two of Wands, Two of Cups, Two of Swords combination, where it's like two people who, in a way, struggle to see eye to eye. And one person wants things this way, another person wants things this way. It just becomes very, very much difficult. So I really do think if you're in a relationship, this is the time to sort things out. this is the time in your life where you're going to want to have a conversation with this person, where you're going to want to clear the air, where you're going to want a fresh start, where you're going to want a renewal, where you guys have to get on the same footing here. And Jesta can deal with a lot of these elements having to do with obsession and psychological needs and emotional, how do I say it? Emotional hurdles to overcome. And I say this because Jesta takes place in the sign of Scorpio in Vedic astrology. And from my observed behavior, Jesta people can be very much, they can attract a lot of jealousy, and they can also be very jealous persons themselves. And the point that I'm trying to make here when it comes to that is usually that type of jealousy is going to come from a place of insecurity, or feeling maybe even low self-worth, or feeling as if you're not good enough, or even just a place of like overly ambitious. It just reminds me of something Andrew Tate said. And Andrew Tate is a Jesta placement, where he said, I was the only one of my friends who wanted a Ferrari, and so I got a Ferrari. Like, it's like this feeling of wanting to do more or do better than the people around you, generally through means of financial validation or even social validation. Like I've got a model wife or something like that. And the reason I say that quote here is because he didn't have to compare himself to his friends, right? He could have just said, I wanted a Ferrari or something like that, or whatever he wanted. And so I got that, which would be more about an ambition thing, and I just want to achieve my dreams. But from Jesta, it comes from a place of comparison and contrast and external validation. And so when I see this, when I look at what's coming next in a relationship, there may be parts of you that might be comparing yourself and your circumstances to other people. And that's whether you're single, that's whether you're within a relationship. It really doesn't matter. Whether you're dating, you're starting to look at those of the people around you. And that's something here when we see with the Seven of Wands. Sorry, this Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands here, yes. But also with the Two of Wands and the Two of Cups, Two of Swords combination. It's like I see what this person has. Either I want it, or I'm comparing myself to this in some way. For example, maybe you have friends who are married and you're like, oh, I want to be married. Or maybe you have friends who are single and dating, but you're like, oh, they're going through this X, Y, and Z situation. At least I'm not going through that, or something like that. And this is what's kind of coming in, okay? Now, if you don't resonate with anything I'm saying with this pile, or if you feel like, girl, this is, some people will say, oh, this is too negative, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, this is about growth and transformation. So if you want someone to sort of spin you a feel-good story, I beg of you, please step away from my channel. But really, this really is about comparison. So when we're talking about what's coming next in love, it really has to do with this time for emotional growth. It's a time where you are benchmarking your love life against other people. Quite often. You might be doing this a lot. And you're looking at trade-offs, and you're looking at timelines. And you're looking at, okay, this person has a good-looking rich partner, but their partner is not very, I don't know, polite or kind, or, you know, they're not that great of a person. And I don't want to date people like that. I want to date people like X, Y, and Z. Or I am dating people like X, Y, and Z. And it's also looking and observing that every path that you take potentially has a cost. Like there is a trade-off for every situation, you know, because nobody's perfect. The Seven of Wands here earlier, like I said, Jesta is about attracting jealousy and then also being jealous themselves. But with the Seven of Wands thing, the Seven of Wands is about being in this position where you have to justify your choices. And similar to that, both of these cards are indicating justifying your choices and your romantic outcomes and who you choose to spend your time with and what you're doing in your love life and the decisions that you make. And also, as I said before, it does come from a place of envy. You may have some things going on in your love life that people may be envious of. Or you may just even, like, let's say you're single, and you're single, I don't know, all of 2026, but you're attracting individuals that certain people around you are not attracting. And that can also spark this, you know, evil eye energy that is coming your way. So I do want you to know that. There's just something there when it comes to that. But for sure, if we're asking what's coming soon in your love life, you know, a little bit of like having a crush here or there. Having to go through all the motions of trying to find someone compatible. Learning to identify who is actually compatible with you. The Ace of Pentacles is also about gaining a newfound confidence, or even just feeling like you've made some solid developments within your love life, or you've attracted something that potentially could be a committed connection or a relationship, because, you know, Pentacles or Aces, I should say, are all about, you know, something new, having a little potential and all of that jazz. And when I talk about the Ace of Pentacles, it's like, oh, well, this might be something solid here, right? This might be something that has legs to stand on, that can grow and that can develop. And so there's something that's coming in terms of that. And then we also have, like I said before, needing to trust yourself. It's like you'll want to bounce ideas off of others, but their thinking is not in line with your thinking. And I feel as though it's about, maybe even for some of you, resenting some of the freedom that you have, the self-trust that you're exercising. And they might even feel trapped in their own romantic relationships or with their own decisions or in their own sort of solitary territory, whatever the case may be. But they're watching your choices and they're forming these opinions. But I do think what's coming next in your life is more of like, if you're single, like a dating phase, potentially meeting someone and having to push back on those who are criticizing your choices, you know, or feel discomfort when it comes to your love life and what you're experiencing or something like that. Even if you're single, and let's say you're single by choice, you might have to defend that. You know, there's something to this energy that is coming from outsiders that is all about compare and contrast. That's the thing I'm getting from this next phase in your love life. You yourself, like I said, maybe benchmarking yourself against others. But ultimately, this is definitely a period of exploration. I want to say that. And yes, you potentially will meet someone who has room to grow and transform and form a beautiful connection. So I'm going to leave it there. I mean, I really do feel as though you are building new confidence within yourself. You're not settling. You're not going to be on anyone else's timeline. you have some people projecting and, like I said, sort of judging your choices. But you're taking things easy and you're doing the things that you need to do that feels good for you, that feels right for you when it comes to your love life. So I'm going to leave it there. And I'll just close that for now. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 3. Let's get started on your reading. We have the Ace of Cups, the High Priestess, the Ace of Wands, the Six of Swords, and we have our Nakshatra cards. Shravana. Love to see it. So right away, we know when we talk about the Ace of Cups, this speaks to a new love that is coming in, especially when we pair it with something like the Ace of Wands, which is, you know, emotional activation meets momentum. So this isn't like a crush from afar, right? This is making moves, going towards someone, making things happen, right? That is what this is about when we talk about this energy of something new coming in. And we all know that the Ace of Cups always, well, almost always connects to new love, but it is a new emotional state. So either way, this is a time within your love life that feels lighter, that feels airier, that feels nicer, okay? So this is something that we love to see coming in soon. New opportunities when it comes to love. Now, if you're already in a relationship, then possibly you're entering a new stage within that relationship. Maybe this is a deeper form of commitment or emotional bond that you two form, a new level of intimacy. Whatever the case may be, that is quite possible within the realm of this. Deeper conversation, more personal details revealed. This is what could be happening. Now, the High Priestess, this often signals something that is more so learning, developing, observing, sensing. And so when I look at this, to me, when we're talking about the High Priestess when it comes to love, she is thinking and pondering on her own needs within a relationship, or even just what is important for her in general, what makes her happy. And I say what makes her happy because the High Priestess is combined with the Sun card here. We know children on the Sun card connect to happiness, naivete, also things that represent newness to it. And so there are some possibly new revelations coming in. There are some things that are being discovered, but there's also a lot of happiness that is more than likely coming your way. Or at least, like I said, you're reflecting on the things that really make you excited and happy when you are in romantic connections. You're making some discoveries in that way. I feel like when we're looking at this Six of Swords as well, this also is indicative of this Ace of Cups, new emotional state, going to some place that is mentally more peaceful within your love life. You're like, I'm not running away from love. I'm finally moving back towards it. Like, especially if you've been out of the love scene for a while. I always look at cards this way. I look at, where did the Six of Swords come from? The Six of Swords came from the Five of Swords, which can show, you know, dating was very much like every man, woman for themselves. Like, people had maybe selfish intentions. They weren't as considerate. They weren't as empathetic. They really weren't thoughtful or coming from a place that was indicative of teamwork, right? So when we're talking about this Six of Swords, it's like we're getting away from that. We're getting away from any sort of chaos or disappointments that you may have had when it comes to love within the past, and we're going to a new state. I love to see the card Shravana, right? Because there's so many themes of Shravana. I love the moon nakshatras, because anytime I study the moon nakshatras, it's like never ending. I think it just has something to do with the moon being so like mysterious and connected to all of these hidden layers and magic and all of that jazz, whatever. But Shravana is a moon ruled nakshatra happens in the sign of Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. So it's a combination of the moon and Saturn, which is like emotional discipline. It has to do with having a lot to deal with a lot of emotional pressure, or having a lot of heavy responsibility, or just things you just have to handle. It's very sati energy, which people are generally stressed out by. I'm not gonna lie. You know, there are a lot of people feel fear sati. It's kind of like a Saturn return. Saturn's energy is like the big bad wolf, people say. But I think it can actually be very great and transformative. Anyway, what it does is puts a lot of responsibility on your plate. It also can put you in various situations that have been, I guess I'll just say, traumatic. You know, I just know too many people who have Shravana placements, or who have Saturn conjunct moon placements, and their childhoods were not easy at all. But one thing about these placements is they can rise from the grimiest, grittiest of situations and go to the top, especially with Shravana. And so I'm telling you this story because your love life might be like this. You know, you could have gone from these places where maybe you weren't exactly in the best emotional state. Maybe you didn't have this sense of confidence within yourself. Maybe you were a bit, with the Ace of Cups here, maybe you were a bit overly emotional. You could be avoidant. You could be extremely anxious. You could be someone who let love sway them, or, you know, as the kids say, down bad. You know what I mean? You could have made some real down bad choices. We all have made some mistakes in love. But when we talk about Shravana, it's talking about a transformation, a growth in that area, where now you're moving from a place of self-respect. You're not allowing any nonsense to come your way any longer. And not only that, but Shravana, you can see the ear on it, and also the 3 footprints. And the ear is having to do with listening, following your intuition, and paying attention. And the 3 footprints, they generally connect to, it's a few things. Subtle cues. By subtle cues, I mean like paying attention to small things, like making observations, etc., things like that. Like a detective looks for clues. You know, you can see these type of things in detective novels as well. And then it also connects to, like the High Priestess, this connector from the material world to the spiritual world. You know, being that sort of vessel between the two, which is why you'll find a lot of Shravana people have like a lot of psychic abilities. So this new stage in your dating life is all about you following your intuition. We already know you're having new love coming in. You're finally listening to yourself and your inner voice. You are coming from a place of self-respect and confidence. You're getting out of these rough waters, and you're finally making new traction. And the same thing as if you're in a relationship. You're moving from a place of self-respect. You're doing things different. And one thing I've noticed, like, because I've seen Shravana people and how they move through their love lives, and it's almost as if before they were very open and etc. But then in their older age, they tend to get a little bit more private, and not everyone does that. Okay, I just want to say that. Some, you might be like, oh, that's the thing of growing older. No, some people become more public with their love lives if they go older. You know, you can look at Will and Jada, but but Shravana is like they become more private, more selective, as well as they choose differently as they grow and transform. And this new stage in your love life is you choosing differently. So what's coming for you soon is you making better choices for yourself, you finding new people who you actually find interesting, that you're engaged with. If you're in a relationship, you know, there's this new emotional turnover, lots of attraction, your relationship's entering a new stage of maturity. You might be listening to each other more. There is a lot of simplicity, but also understanding within these interactions. And it becomes about showing respect towards your partner and yourself. And so I'm going to leave it there for you guys, you know, because you don't, the main thing is you're no longer in this place where you're like, you're asking, ooh, do they like me, blah, blah, blah. No, you're judging by their actions, and you're understanding over time, how are their actions playing out? Are they being consistent? Do I feel like I have to second guess? Like, it's a place where you're trusting yourself. Okay? You're more regulated. You're more confident. You are out of this place of being jerked around. You're no longer coming up with a face of fear. You're letting faith guide you in your love life and to the right people. So that is what I have, and hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pal or a new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey pal, number 4. Let's get started on what's coming soon for you in love. We have the 5 of Cups. We have the 10 of Swords combined with the 10 of Wands in the Shuffle Tarot deck. We have the 4 of Wands. We have the Queen of Wands. And we have Ashvini. So, when we look at these cards that lay before us, right away we know something that is coming soon for you in love is letting go of the past, right? We have to say that. I know maybe some of you aren't grieving anything. Maybe some of you aren't letting things go. But for a portion of you or percentage of you, you may have subconsciously been holding on to something, and now you are giving yourself the opportunity to grieve that. Whether that is, because sometimes we don't necessarily want to return back to the same relationships or experiences we have, but we're more so mourning the fact that the situation didn't work out in the first place. You know what I mean? Sometimes we mourn something that has never occurred. For example, I was just watching this TikTok video of a woman saying how she went to a wedding, and the DJ was saying, all right, couples who've been on the floor, married 20 years, you know, stay on the floor. 25, stay on the floor. 20s, 28. And, as the numbers go up, the couples who haven't been together, let's say 30 years, they would leave the floor. Like, they've only been together 25 years, they would leave the floor if the DJ announced 30. And so this woman said, wow, the last couple was 60 years together. And she was saying, I will never experience that because I am in my mid-30s, and the odds of me spending 60 years with someone is pretty slim, right? Unless she lives to like 195 and her partner also lives that long and maybe they're the same age. So I was like, yeah, that is kind of true, right? That is potentially true. And so this 5 of Cups can be something like that. You're mourning a situation that you may never experience, or that you may feel you didn't get the opportunity to experience. Like, maybe you never got the opportunity to experience young love or teenage love or something like that. Or maybe you never got the opportunity to experience, I don't know, there's so many different situations that could possibly be, I don't know, dating around in college or something, whatever. But the 5 of Cups is just mourning these situations that did happen or you'll never get to experience, and just letting it go. Especially when we talk about the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Swords. You might have been carrying the weight of disappointment within your love life for some period. And the reason that I say that is when we talk about the 10 of Wands, it's about holding on to a burden, taking on too much. And when we combine that with that 10 of Swords, that overthinking, that hurtful, heavy energy of just outside criticism, inside criticism. It's just a lot of negative thinking, and your thoughts become a burden. They become heavy to you. They drain you. And so there could be something along the lines of that. You may have expected to say, okay, I thought I'd be married by now, or I thought I'd at least have a partner right now, or I thought I would at least have a different type of relationship. You know, these are the things that could be on your mind. But I do think that another portion of you guys are going through this slow healing stage, whatever it is that you're healing from, or just letting go or recovering from. That it could simply just be that. And sometimes it's just burnt out, feeling burnt out from the dating stage, you know, and just needing to step back until you get reignited, like this Ashvini card. I do think that if some of you have these self-imposed timelines, it's becoming too much of a psychological heavy weight for you. And I'm glad to see that you might be letting this go, or you're leaving this behind. For those of you who are doing that. For those of you who are holding on to this mental labor. You are essentially exhausting your emotional bandwidth. And I'm glad to see in this next stage in life that you're letting that go. Those expectations are falling to the wayside. I'm very happy for you about that. So one thing that I want to talk about when it comes to, you know, what's occurring or how things are unfolding or what's happening for you is I do feel like pretty soon you may have the opportunity to, number one, if you're already seeing someone, this is like forming a commitment and forming a bond, because we have this Four of Wands here. And so the Four of Wands becomes about tying yourself to another person, having a stable foundation, having stability, making this lasting connection, being in a space where you feel comfortable and heard and understood. And it's like making it official, right? Because on the Four of Wands, we have a wedding here. And weddings are a public sphere where people make their commitment to each other official. And so for some of you who are seeing someone, pretty soon it feels as though you guys may enter a relationship. Maybe you're updating your status on social media, you're premiering them. They're no longer just a hand. You put them out there like that. You start with the my man, my man, my man, or my woman, my woman, my woman, whatever the case may be. And you just let it be known that this is who you're with. And for those of you who are single, well, this can represent hitting a different milestone when it comes to dating. Maybe it is that you had some milestones in mind when it came to what you were expecting to receive out of your love life. But now that prospect has changed, and you actually end up finding something else that feels enjoyable, that feels stable, that feels like something you can celebrate. And this can be simply meeting someone that you find compatible, that you find a mutual attraction with, that you find friends and family like this person. And you're like, oh, my friends and family never like who I date. You know, now you hit this milestone of them actually enjoying your choices here. This Four of Wands is very celebratory energy. And so this is something happening within your love life that is beautiful and amazing. And people are happy for you. So this is why I say if you're single, it feels as if this is more than likely meeting someone who actually provides something of value into your life. They work well with you within a relationship. It's not really just meeting someone. It's meeting someone who is compatible, who you can go on a life journey potentially with. And so that's something I want to say for you singles, especially when we go into Ashvini, because Ashwini represents new starts, new beginnings, rejuvenation, and all that jazz. Though I've seen Saturn mode connected with rejuvenation. I was watching Death Becomes Her, and I know Claire Naki sort of did a video when it came to beauty and eternal beauty and it being connected with Bharani or Bharani. But then when I was looking at the placements of pretty much all of the main actors in the movie, they all had Saturnian placements. And that lines up with when I was doing mini studies on who people thought were really great at retaining their youth, or even just reversing aging process, whatever. Ashwini was another one that was kind of known for that as well, this fountain of youth vibe. But the point I'm trying to make with this is it may feel as though you're getting this opportunity to revitalize your love life, to bring life back into it, to meet someone exciting, to meet someone fun, to meet someone new, to date outside your typical circumstances. Because Ashwini is definitely a planet that's more of a trendsetter. And we have this Queen of Wands. She's experimental. She's not super experimental. She's not the Page of Wands, but she likes a little newness, spontaneity, trying different things. You know, the Wands are a little bit more flexible than something like the Pentacles going on here. And so this tells me that you're breathing life back into your dating life. Or for those of you who've been single, for those of you who've been in this period of mourning, have just been like, dang, my love life is dead, man. There's nothing going on here. It's a reset. It feels energizing. It feels like your nervous system is finally in this state of rejuvenation. You know, you're ready to go. And I really also feel as though you are still in a good place where you are not feeling, or I should say, you're no longer feeling like you're being dragged by the hair when it comes to love. It's this restoring of momentum. You start to initiate the outcomes. You start to take the lead, because the Queen of Wands definitely wants to take the lead, starts to take charge, starts to move quickly, starts to act on opportunities. You see someone, you talk to them, you do a little flirtation. You don't got to do too much, just a little flirtation, and you make a connection. And so this is what I see coming for you. I see you meeting, in particular, one individual who is bold and brave and a little bit out there, especially when we talk about that Ashwini energy. And possibly, you know, Ashwini can deal with, you know, age gaps, as the many K2 placements can do. So there is an element where this person might be a little bit younger, a little bit older, and I'm talking a bit more like, extreme. Like, it's not extreme, but it doesn't have to be that much. But let's say you're a woman and you date someone 7 years younger. That's not as typical for women, right? Something like that. But I see just a lot of newness coming towards you. This is also a time in which you are being strategic, where you have a lot of more ease. Keep in mind the sun is exalted in Ashwini. And what that means is, because the sun is the placement that rules like your vitality, your goals, you know, it's like where your heart is in a way. It's almost as if when it comes to your love life, there is this super power up. Like it's a lot easier for you to make connections soon. Like, this is what's happening. The vibe is changing, where you're going to be meeting more people, or at least one other person. And the process isn't going to feel as difficult. It's not going to feel as heavy, you know, and it's less overly cautious energy. Ashwini is very open, you know, very, very open. I just want to say that. And so I just feel as though this brings about a quick change in your love life, in terms of it's picking up speed. and it feels a bit like a little bit of a whirlwind. Like, one thing I noticed about Ashwini's energy is it comes through like this short intensity. And so there may be something along the lines of that. But I do think it's going into something stable. But just know that it'll feel like it hit out of nowhere. Anyway, that is what I have for you. I will see you next time, pal. Number 4. Don't forget, if you want a private reading, link can be found in the description bar below. If you want to be notified if I go live, all you have to do is hit the bell and, you know, I'll pop up. You can ask me a question. We can go over the weekly collective. I might be doing some astrology. You never know what's going to happen. And subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 5. Last but not least, what's coming soon for you in love? We have the 5 of Pentacles. We have the Judgment card and the Devil. We have the Knight of Swords. We have the 9 of Swords reversed. And we have Punavarsu. So right away, my first thought is this is in a way about starting over. Letting go of a scarcity mindset. When we're talking about what's coming for you in love, you may have these narratives for yourself inside. Meaning like, you know, it won't happen for me, or it's going to take a long time, or I've missed my window, or the type of men or women I want are rare. It's going to be so hard to, you know, connect, or, you know, I'll never get the family I want, never get the marriage, right? The house, the kids, the home, like all of this kind of like Punavarsu energy coming through. So when I look at this, it's like this next stage, what's coming soon for you in love, is about detaching from this mindset. And yeah, that sounds corny, and I'm sure a lot of people say it, but it really is happening for you. You're letting go of a lot of different worries. You're letting go of these negative thoughts, these timelines, the culture, social comparison, past disappointments, I should say. And you are regoverning your own expectations. You know, you're not coming from this place of lack. You're coming from this place of, you know what? It's never too late for me to transform and to rebuild and to develop into the best version of myself. Punavarsu has this phrase that's connected to it, which is like the return to the light, right? And this has to do with essentially letting go of these cultural conformities or these expectations that essentially are not exactly aligned with your true self. When I see Punavarsu, I often see stories of people being transformed, stripped down, or glammed up, and they are becoming a version of themselves that they feel the most aligned to, or they feel will provide them the best results. Either one, depends on the story and their personal journey. But ultimately, it is being true to who you are and accepting that if you, or when you find someone, they will connect with you, they will understand you, and they will accept you for your beautiful personality, looks as well, but they'll accept your heart. Okay, that's kind of what I want to say. There's less overthinking here. There's less the need to rush in. And I feel as though you're letting loose in a way as well when we talk about this Punavarsu feel to it. When I see Punavarsu individuals, they, you know, for the most part, it depends, but they, for the most part, are pretty good about navigating social situations. And to me, it's because they study the game. You know, I see a lot of Jupiterian people who often get put in these positions of dating coaches. And to me, I feel like Jupiter is like this, I was going to say wise figure, and it's true. Jupiter does connect to wisdom. It's the guru, it's the teacher, obviously. But they really do pay attention. And so for me, you start paying attention to any patterns within your own dating life and even the dating life of other people. One thing that I saw about Punavarsu is the fact that quite often they'll be caught in different cycles that happen over and over and over again until they sort of reach their lesson, or like I said, do that sense of shedding and get to the core of who they are and get rid of, you know, any sort of devil card energies going on here. And I was going somewhere with this. Where was I going with this? The point was, you'll start to see these patterns unfold for you within your dating life. It'll become more obvious. And as they become more obvious, you're able to avoid things that disappoint you, that don't feel right for you, that don't make sense for you. And this is why I said you're letting go of those old narratives, because you don't have to lean into them anymore, because you can see them coming from a mile away, because you've gained that sense of wisdom. That's where I was going. Sometimes my brain just goes all over the place, guys. But essentially, this is a place of self-authority, okay? You are someone who is understanding your worth, understanding you're on your own timeline. You're shedding past parts of yourself that don't make sense anymore. And it's interesting when we see this devil and this judgment card, because in a way it's like they are being called in a way for like a false prophet, right? Because the judgment card is about renewal and saying goodbye to the past. And when we have the devil card here, it's people almost like pretending to change, pretending to transform, pretending to let go, very much wolf in sheep's clothing. And so for me, I feel like what's coming up next is you're going to start seeing those patterns unfold for you in real time. It's not saying that all of a sudden you're going to attract people who are finally recognizing your worth, though that will be part of the journey. It's just not soon. And that's what this reading's about and what's unfolding for love soon. What's really happening soon is that you're having some people who have familiar patterns that have shown up in your dating life, or in your romantic life, I should say, within the past, and you're noticing it immediately. You are somebody who is picking up on the people who are kind of using therapy language or spiritual language to sort of position themselves as being socially, emotionally aware or spiritually aware. But really, they're just mimicking the words, but they don't have any action or any substance behind it. And you're really going to see it. You're going to see the ghosting right away. You're going to see the hot and cold, the breadcrumbing, the blaming the exes. The masks are slipping quicker than ever. And it's really being unveiled before you. And because of that, you're easily able to pull away from those situations and make quick decisions and say, okay, I don't have to deal with that. I already know where that's going. I already know that path. What path is that's leading down? That's something that I see for you 120%. Jupiter's currently in Punavarsu right now. And I think the current consensus is this year has been, I think for a lot of people, I'm not saying every single one, a bit of a bumpy ride. I think what you'll find here is that people are definitely 100% tired of the same old narratives from the media. There also is a lot of dissatisfaction when it comes to government, when it comes to how the different countries are being run. And that's anything from, Nepal overthrowing their government, people running out the French prime minister, even our own government, we're asking for accountability. You see a lot of pushback when it comes to calling out bad behavior. And I really do feel like there's this vibe that in your dating life, you're clocking that bad behavior. You may not necessarily always call it out, but you're definitely going to say something at least a couple of times, because we have that Knight of Swords. So I see that happening for you. I think that there's a lot of frustration here that you're going to express, but then at the same time you're just like, I'm moving on. You know what I mean? There's no more time. There's no point in going back and forth with someone who's not meeting your needs or meeting your expectations. And I really do feel like you're coming with that mindset soon. Now, if we're talking about any romantic things, people coming into your life, yeah, like I said, this next period coming in soon is more like a testing period. You know, I don't think this coming in soon part is showing you meeting the love of your life. And if you're already in a relationship, this is a time where your relationship may be tested a bit. I'm just letting you know, like I said, Jupiter's in Punavarsu right now. And generally from what I've seen, the overall sentiment does seem to be a little bit disappointed with the year, or the year's just okay. And so this is why I say that it's really about keeping it real. It's really about showing the true nature of the dating scene, which can be cold and harsh, like this Five of Pentacles. But it doesn't matter, because you will have good things coming for you. Just know that this next period that's coming up soon is more of a testing period. But it's great because it's just here to make you practice what you preach. Like Dua Lipa, New Rules, which I think, does Dua Lipa have a Punavarsu placement? I think she does. So that is what I see for you, pile number 5. And hopefully you enjoyed the reading. If not, feel free to use a new pal or a new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I need to say? I don't think so. I think that is all I want to say here. A lot of transformations in your dating life, a lot of different changes. You are stepping up and growing into a person who you yourself are going to be proud of. And I really do feel as though you're no longer accepting anything that is, you know, those short replies, delayed responses, sudden busyness, like, oh, I don't really answer the phone, I'm not a big texter, da da da. You're over it. You're over it. So that is what I have, and I will see you next time. Don't forget, if you like the reading, feel free to follow me and subscribe and hit the bell. Stay notified when I go live, when I pop up. You can ask me a question then. You can also get a private reading if you want to expand, whether that's astrology reading or Vedic chart reading. I also do Western, but do prefer Vedic. And I think that's all. I think that's all, guys. And I will see you next time. Au revoir.